good?
We on?
You're on.
Live.
Hello, Wayfarers, and welcome to another episode of Homebrew Labs. I think that's just going to be part of the intro now. It's just going me going, we on? We're good? We're good? We're starting?
Yeah.
Homebrew Labs, the show where we take random prompts to create original content for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I am your host, Badger Fallaize. With me, as always, is our illustrious illustrator, Sarah, and today's special guest, the Midnight Gargoyle, Mr. Rob Ballantyne.
That was a great intro. I felt like
man.
I was live at Apollo. That was cool.
Yeah,
Glad to be.
I've been working on it. So, on today's episode of Homebrew Labs, we will be creating a brand new magic item for our Wonderous workshop. So, for those who are new to the show, what we do is take random prompts from this, the Hat of Randomness, and use those prompts to create some brand new and original content. The first thing we're going to be drawing today is the type of magic item that we will be creating. So today, we should be creating we've got a lot of free room on this one. We are creating a Wondrous item.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
So that gives us a lovely bit of room to kind of work with there. The next thing to determine is the rarity of this item. This will determine exactly how powerful an item that we can create here. And we should be creating an uncommon item. So quite a kind of run down the middle kind of item, sort of thing that most adventurers probably get in the in early game. So, but also find the uncommons items also tend to have a huge amount of versatility to them, which is quite fun.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the final thing to choose is the School of Magic that the effect on this item has. You're in luck. It is necromancy.
Nice.
Yeah, that kind of movie. Yeah.
All right, so we are creating an uncommon necromantic wondrous item. So let's have a think. Like, what sort of thing could we possibly do? The fact that it is a wondrous item really does give us a huge amount of room, but it also means that we actually have to come up with something
that you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you think about it, probably starting from the School of Magic might be a good way to start, because necrotic magic is typically it's life and death. It's the life force and the lack thereof. Because healing.
Absolutely, Yes, necromancy is all about life force. It is used to drain life from other creatures. It is used to bring things back from the dead. So let's have a look at like the different spells and see if there's anything interesting in the necromancy school that maybe you wouldn't think of.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like for reference as well, the Bag of Holding I'm looking at, if this is right, is a wondrous item of uncommon. That surprises me.
Yeah, Bag of Holding, uncommon wondrous item.
Yeah, I guess it's the most bread and butter item I've ever experienced. You can't go anywhere without it.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it, and it's powerful enough not to be common.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely an element of that to it. But bags of holding, boots of elven kind, things like that, braces of archery.
Yeah, very good stuff to be fair. Yeah.
Yeah, these are all really good magic items. They just because when you start getting into the higher levels of it, when you start getting into the legendaries and the very rares and the rares, they tend to have either a bunch of different functions within the single item, or they're just game-breaking items like the Ring of Invisibility that you can just spontaneously become invisible. I've just tried to clean my glasses and made them so much more dirty. As is the typical thing that happens.
Yeah,
All my glasses wearing friends out there will be able to sympathize.
I think the thing with uncommon items, like you're saying, is that they're pretty straightforward in what they're capable of doing, and they're pretty they're very handy to have.
Yeah,
like a Swiss Army knife.
That's kind of the thing I feel like is it's versatility. It's usable.
Yeah.
It's these are items that are common enough, even being uncommon, they are common enough that they were produced in bigger quantities because there was more demand for them. So that's where you get like the use for them. So looking at like magic that's inflected by necromancy, also things like false life, which gives you temporary hit points, blindness and deafness is considered necromancy. Bestowing curses.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Make a cursed item. Sorry, I love cursed items.
yeah, me too.
They're so
awful. Could definitely do something. We could definitely do a cursed item. Cursed items are good fun. So yeah, I mean, it's the whole point of necromancy is it's affecting life force in a way. So looking at the different wondrous items, there are a lot which are like items of clothing. There are bits that are like pieces of jewelry and accessories like bags as well. There's a lot of bags in that. And then there are just like random things like the drift globe and the ever-smoking bottle. Like they're all very there's a few which are just kind of like given a different form. So maybe something along those lines, like something that has a kind of interesting appearance to it. So
yeah,
I'm thinking
weird. I agree with that.
Like in my head, I'm kind of thinking of the I'm trying to think what it's called, but it's in Skyrim, the beacon. I'm trying to remember what the person's name is, like Meriden or Meridra or something like that. It's beacon, and it's this weird glowing orb that has not even an orb really. It's more of like a it's like a three-dimensional. My childhood geometry is escaping me for the word of the shape. But like a three-dimensional hexagon type deal. I'm trying to think what it would in shape, and then it glowed, and there was like a creepy voice that came out of it.
Sounds good.
That was like visually, that was something I had in mind. No idea what to make it do, but that was kind of a thought that I had in mind, was to have some kind of creepy orb or object of a bizarre shape.
Thanks, Yannick, for the follow. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, wonderful. We got a new follower. Yeah, actually, for those who are watching, we currently have 79 followers now. And we are working towards a goal of 100. And if we reach that goal, we will release a special one-off episode of Homebrew Labs, which we're all very excited for. So if you are watching and you are not following, hit that follow button so that we can reach that goal. So, yeah, thinking like
a geometric shape of some kind.
Yeah, just like a geometric shape of some kind that has an effect related to necromancy is the thing.
So my initial instinct is when you play these kind of classes, like Necromancy Wizard, for example, obviously there's the healing side, but there's also the cooler undeady stuff. And there's spells like Speak with Dead that are all so cool in like roleplay, but it's so hard if it kind of takes up a slot in that way. If you don't have them equipped, you're always like, and then those cool moments when you don't have it equipped, you're like, this would be cool. So at the moment, I'm feeling like it would be cool if we had an item that didn't exactly replicate the spell, because that's boring too if it's just an item that does the spell. But like, if it like, captures the last moments before their death or something, and they can't speak, or I don't know, like it snatches a mirror of what was. I think that could be cool.
I love this, and I think you're gonna love this because you just gave me an idea that's super creepy. So this kind of like geometrical shape has the ability to trap a shred of a dead person's soul. Yes. It traps it inside, and you can then communicate with that person for a brief time before it
you have to let them go, they get corrupted.
Before it has to let them go. But like, you're literally having to take a part of a person's soul to be able to do it.
Yeah, they should not want it. Because there's quite a cool high level ability called Soul Cage where you can kind of do that, and it has full on mechanical effects. So this is kind of a nice bridge between Speak with Dead and Soul Cage. So that's quite cool, actually.
Yeah, that's like a 6th level necromancy spell.
Yeah, exactly. So this is like a good in between. You can't manipulate them as such, but yeah, you can hold them for a certain amount of time, trap them between the coil, the veil, and the mortal coil. That's kind of neat.
Nice. I also feel like it's got this kind of obviously practical use to adventurers in particular. Mm-hmm. But then thinking like, what other groups of people would have used this particular kind of item?
Agnes.
Right. Immediately I can see the Disney spin on it, right? Yeah. Where it's like the people who they're keeping like the last memory of their loved one or whatever in this thing, and starts off all loving and innocent, and then eventually they become insane and corrupt, right? That's the greatest villain, because you're like, oh, that's really sad. Yeah, but they've gone bad. They've gone bad.
Nice. So like, I feel like this device inherently has some kind of evil aspects to it, in the thought like, you capture a piece of a soul, and it holds it as long as it can before it has to release it. But like, if there was like varying strengths to these things, stronger ones could hold that for much longer, and people were like using that, like you say, like wealthy people were using that to keep parts of their loved ones nearby. But obviously that's then, by taking away part of their soul, it's denying them access to the afterlife. Which in like 5e has a very practical thing of like, you get judged, and then you get sent to the outer plane that best suits like your alignment and your lifestyle. And you're kind of denying a person that. And it feels like maybe these were mass produced, because obviously it's an uncommon item. Maybe it was like mass made in a malicious way.
Yeah. Or maybe like a culture used it in an almost innocent like way, right? As a way of, every culture has its own kind of death ritual. Maybe at one point, you're supposed to gather around as a family and share in the last, like, kind of the last memory of them and let it go in a big ceremony. And then somebody a little bit more ill-inclined perhaps was like, hey, I could do stuff like that. Like, I've got this awesome idea of wizards doing that to one another. Like, tell me your secrets or I won't let you go. Like, I need to know that last spell. Like, I love the idea.
Absolutely. Okay, so I've got a kind of idea now for like a backstory for this item, which is, it started off actually not in the public reach at all. It was used. It was created and used originally by druid tribes that would take parts of departed people's souls for a part of like a kind of ritual send-off, and so that the person could like attend their own funeral and wake.
That's right. Yeah.
An evil wizard came along, discovered this item, worked and replicated it, and then, like, if you have it like on the lines of, this was a necromancer working towards lichdom, was looking to create this kind of undead army, and found a way of keeping souls locked to the material plane to bring up as like wraiths and things like that. And so had like a kind of capitalist consumer takeover where he just mass produced these things, sold them, and then as people started doing that, used that energy to fuel his undead army.
What if I feel like it's always a wizard. Can it be an artificer, which essentially is the same thing?
Yeah.
Because that's the classic. Like they were too busy. What does he say? Too busy asking if they could rather than if they should. Right? He's just like, yeah, this is a great invention, and then it's like, oh, actually, what I've done is pretty dark.
Yeah, it's.
Katie says the Rubik's Cube of last memory.
Yeah,
divide the soul like it would divide the soul like a Horcrux. It's like that's kind of.
Yeah. It totally would. That's it. Yeah, and would be great for liches and stuff, right? Because they can Horcrux themselves up, send it to all the 5 corners of the world and all.
Yeah, and it's so. This is so messed up. I love it.
I love it. It could be beautiful, but it also could be totally corrupt and malign. I think it's great.
It's an item that was created for a good reason and then was used for a bad reason.
And it's also like one of those things with after enough time and distance, you're like, oh, that was pretty messed up, actually. Like maybe we shouldn't have been doing that.
Absolutely.
Now I've started drawing this thing. It's kind of diamond shaped.
Nice.
And so
I really like that. Yeah.
Okay, I just started making it up.
No.
Let me see.
I feel like almost like if we're going with the backstory that it was created by druids for funeral traditions, that it should almost have a kind of natural look to it, like it's made out of stone rather than like out of crystal.
Okay.
And then it's like almost kind of like a rough hewn stone in that shape.
And then the artificers kind of like modded it rather than because I like that because they can't recreate it, they can just add things on, right? So this artificers like find a way to fine tune it, make it easier to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because then you can have like the old school beautiful druid ones, and also these kind of like jerry rigged soul jails.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to show you these pictures. This is one of my favorite stone. It's called a Labradorite, and they're beautiful, and I love them.
Oh, beautiful, nice.
That's good. That's good.
I won't be able to replicate that exactly, but like that kind of, it's this rough veins and things and different colors, and I like that one. That's cool.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, or maybe you've got kind of like 2 different appearances to it. You have the natural ones that were created by the druids and the artificial ones that were created by this artificer.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I already want to play a character that has like a loved one in a jar, and the whole thing is like learning to let go of it.
That's very
absolutely, yeah.
Be so sad.
It would be very sad. So let's see.
So we've got, it's uncommon, it's a wondrous item. Cost-wise, uncommon items go between 101 and 500 GP. One thing that I've been wanting to do with this series is to actually give magic items a fixed price for 5th edition, because God knows that is an absolute pain in the ass when it comes to this system. It's just how vague they are with the pricing of magic items. So I think something along this line, it would be more on the expensive side of things. Yeah. So maybe it is actually a straight 500 gold pieces.
I think so. Go the cap, because it's a pretty crazy item. Obviously, it doesn't keep it indefinitely. I feel like you'd have to do more to kind of keep it charged, almost like keep it revved up.
Absolutely.
But it's a fun item you could throw into your game and like put somebody pretty intense or important inside of it, and see the internal conflict of a party, decide if it's right or not. That's cool.
Amazing. So let's kind of give it a more like mechanical wording of this. So I think when a creature dies, oh no, hang on. So within, let's say, within 10 minutes of a creature's death, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Creature's death. This stone can be used to trap part of that creature's soul. So, whilst it is inhabited by this soul, so glad that I'm not like sharing my screen on this, as I just struggle to spell some of these words. Thank goodness for spell checker.
As I say, that's what spell check was invented for, right?
Yeah, man, I was so
indeed.
I've been so tired today. I was showing how to build a rogue Kenku earlier today on Twitch, which people can still watch if they want to, and they can see me struggle with basic math.
The user of the stone can communicate with that creature.
I like this. This is cool.
I think you should throw in a caveat that its memories or won't be entirely. Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, their memories, the creature's memories. So the process of having their soul trapped can scramble the creature's memories, and they may not remember large chunks of their life.
Yeah, because then it's not an instant. You just killed the GM's mystery when you get the. If you're doing a whodunit, you need to have a get out, right?
Yeah.
You do, yeah. As a GM in particular, you definitely do. Particularly as this is such a kind of like low level item.
Yeah.
It definitely requires that kind of that get out of jail free card for the GM. Okay, so within 2 minutes of the creature's death, a stone can be used to trap part of the creature's soul. Once it's inhabited by a piece of soul, the user of the stone can communicate with that creature. The process of having their soul trapped can scramble the creature's memories, and they may not remember large chunks of their life. After 1 minute, the piece of soul is released and joins the rest of the creature's soul before traveling to the afterlife. That looks awesome, Sarah.
Trying to get
it does look cool.
Like a skull inside.
Oh, Katie is saying that you're very quiet, Sarah.
Oh, am I? Sorry, I was partially mumbling at Ted.
How much is a diamond in 5e? Is it 500 as well? Or 300? I can't remember.
You get diamonds of different value.
Okay. What's the most expensive? 1,000.
I think when you do... In fact, I've still got the spells up here. the most expensive one that gets used, I imagine, would be for True Resurrection. Which would be...
I'm just thinking of that. I feel like there should be a component that you can keep kind of feeding to it to keep it longer, like maybe add a 24-hour cycle on every time, which is how these powerful people continue to capture other important powerful people, right? But if you have a cost it makes it obviously difficult to maintain for your standard adventuring group, unless they become obsessed with it and they're selling all their items to buy more diamonds to grind up into this thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
A great artificer as well to attach items and stuff to.
You can make it darker. Instead of it being a monetary cost, it's a life force cost.
Yeah, there you go.
So you have to,
nailed it.
Bleed into it to spend 5 points of HP, which is a high cost for a commoner, but for an adventurer or a wizard or someone with higher HP, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe you don't get it back until the soul is released as well, so you can't just keep cheesing it.
Which would make sense because it'd be necrotic damage, and you wouldn't be able to get it back with regular healing spells.
Yeah, I like that. Because then it is a cost. It's not just everybody give 1 HP, we'll all be okay.
Yeah. No, it's if you don't release the soul, your own life is preserving the soul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
By letting blood
and if you tilt too far, a bit of Yuga is eventually in there as well.
Yeah. Oh.
You do like over half HP or something, right?
It's like you replace the soul that's in there.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
You don't know until it's too late. What have I become? Who am I? I'm in there.
Thanks for the follow, Abraham Ray. Getting us closer to our goal.
Indeed. For those who are joining in now, and if you are watching, we are with that follow. I'm guessing we're up to 80, which is fantastic, which gets us 20 followers away from our goal of 100 before we can release our special one-off episode of Homebrew Labs. Let me say that with the actual right syllables. Our special one-off episode of Homebrew Labs.
Good evening,
my
everybody.
tongue just went numb for a second there.
Okay, I want to just work on this thing.
Nice. So I've added an extra piece onto this, which was based on what you guys were saying, is that the time a piece of soul is trapped can be increased by letting blood onto the stone. By taking 5 points of damage, you can extend the trapping by 24 hours.
I think that's a fair trade, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so you have...
These half points cannot be healed until the shard of the spirit is released.
Oh, shoot. Oh, my God.
It's got to be a cost, right? You're dabbling in proper darkness now. You can't just be, because otherwise you're just going to top it up and take a rest or whatever.
Because that's your villain storyline right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
This guy is capturing people and bleeding them to death because commoners only have about 5 hit points.
Yeah.
Literally.
That last, you won't tell him the riddle of steel, right? You will get it off the guy in the jar. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's oh my God, that's so messed up.
You can make him have an ultra
and Rob together to make something.
He becomes super messed up.
It could be good though. It could be trying to keep somebody really important alive, but the heroes don't know that till they get too far in, right? And they've messed up his plans. And now he hates them, or she hates them.
Let's see. If you find it and release something supremely evil, you could totally base a whole campaign off several of these.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Maybe the amount of the soul that is captured depends on the size, shape, color of the stone.
Oh, so you could build a big one, one the size of a tower, and steal a bit of a god or something. Yeah, that could be cool.
Whoa!
Oh my goodness! Because when we create because when we start looking at creating more of these gods for our homebrew world, maybe the artificer that took this stone and recreated it, vamped it for this use, is actually like ended up becoming the god of murder. And they've and like the releasing of this stone actually, like in a kind of mass-produced way, actually like really increased the murder rate in the areas where they were sold, because people were like desperate to hold on to it. Like oh god,
I'd love to be a cleric of this order. Like, this is cool. Like, because again, you can be altruistic, but you could be going around providing service, letting people hang out with their loved ones for a little bit longer. Or yeah, you could be full on carrying an evil lunatic in a jar, killing people because you want to know what he knows.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot.
Carrying your stone around. I quite like this.
Yeah. Oh, this is crazy. I love it. This is such a cool, like, little item. So, another thing that we will all, of course, need, and for those who are watching, please do get in the chat, is an actual name for this item. So for those who are watching and are in the chat, go ahead and chuck out some suggestions for names, because we always like to get the names from the audience.
Yeah.
Because it saves us from having to think of them. But this looks so good, Sarah.
I'm really happy with this.
Yeah.
Now the question is, skull or no skull? Because
I always want to say yes to skull, but I think the skull should come dependent on like how dark the individual is inside.
I feel like the skull should be there, but maybe at like a much lower opacity.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hold it right with a bit of blood reflecting, and then you're like, oh, I see. Yeah.
It's just the hint of a soul in there.
What if I change? Let's change the color.
The contrast of the god and death and natural order. Yeah, I mean that is.
This is the blockage.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of like a big thing. Is obviously having a god of death is not inherently evil, but a god of murder would be. And this is, I mean, it's the same way it happens in the Faerun pantheon, where you've got the Raven Queen, who is the goddess of death, who is all about the natural order of things and making sure that people don't try and cheat death. And then you've got Bahal, who literally his followers have to commit like a murder a week. His priests are like obligated to commit a murder each week, which is insane. So yeah, I think that could be just like a cool backstory for a god for Anua, is like a god, maybe murder, or maybe just like corruption in general.
Yeah.
I get like the artificer collector vibe as well. Like, imagine entering a vault and there's hundreds of these, and they're all different, different people throughout history. And it makes me think of the scene in a Terry Pratchett novel where Death is like touching all the hourglasses on his his vault as well. I just think that's super cool.
Yeah,
I'd love to make a group of players like discover what this massive room full of stones is, and be like, oh my god,
is someone's like made a collection of them. And this would be like also just like a collection like that would probably be like in the room of like a vampire.
Yeah, right.
And you'd have
even all of his friends and stuff that he knew a long time ago.
I think there was an episode in like Buffy where Cordelia wished that Buffy had never come to Sunnydale, and it made this huge alternate timeline where the vampires ruled over everything, and basically had set up a massive factory which was just designed to drain the blood out of humans. And there's something weirdly political about this item, in that it's like it's a really fucked up capitalism. That's been the true evil in this.
The last one thing you have to die peacefully and interrupting it. Yeah. Oh, that looks amazing. Sorry.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna make the skull look more like a proper skull now.
That's cool. It looks like it's floating around in it. I like it.
Yeah.
Like a gory lava lamp.
Yeah, in fact, I like I feel like with the aesthetic of it, like when it's in the description of the aesthetic, the opacity drop just makes that work so well. Yeah. Is like it should almost look like it's filled with liquid, and that and then the skull itself is kind of like floating in there.
Oh man, I just found the skull.
I know you're having a great time with that skull.
I like the idea of people hiding the skull. They'll shake it up in front of you because they don't want to see how twisted and weird this little thing is. You're like, oh no, it's nothing. It's just you see what you want to see in these things, right?
He's like, oh, you're seeing a skull? That's probably a bad omen.
Yeah. That doesn't normally do that. Yeah.
I imagine like a traveling salesman.
Totally, because it works like a minute, right? Yeah.
I know that's just that's just part of it. But if it's a traveling salesman, I feel like the skull only appears when there is actually a piece of soul trapped inside.
Yeah. But you only need one, right, to show that. Like, he can literally buy one and have 24 hours to ship it. Like he's got to sell them all.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Be a good way to seed it into your game world. Be like, oh, we bought this weird thing, and for a day there was a strange creature inside of it talking to us, and now it does nothing. But oh, that's weird.
Oh, it's so good. Like you can just imagine like having this video is like the most messed up aesthetic ever, but it's a vampire's lair, and there's just a chamber that has these things lining the walls, and the walls have a steady trickle of blood coming down them at all times to keep them fueled.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
see, this is it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you say, she's got like the cattle above, right, who are getting drained and stuff. Yeah.
And it's like for the vampire, this is like it's like the serial killer trophy, you know?
Yeah. I love it if it's like all their enemies from over the eons they've been alive, right?
All of their enemies, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is, some serial killers, take body parts. These ones take their freaking souls.
And keep you on pause about the afterlife. I also love that's one of those great moments where when the party meets a villain like that, it's like a huge reminder that, oh no, this person's tough. They've put all these people in jars over centuries and centuries. Like, be ready if you're going to fight this person. Like
that has to be the first introduction to the villain, right?
Yeah.
You walk through this room of just all of the souls of the people this creature has killed over the centuries.
He's like really gleefully describing who each one is, right? Like super proud of their achievement. Oh yes, we thought they tried to have a coup against me, and now look at them.
Which was gonna. I got the museum plaque on it. I love it.
Yeah, Katie says, could the pieces of the soul possess a living thing if released?
I think if they're strong enough, right, you get into crazy ghost territory.
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely could work as kind of like a plot thing as well. Like, oh, you go and you release all these souls, but one of these souls was actually just way worse and is now gone and possessed.
You've done that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, something, and you then released the next big evil of the campaign.
Yeah, and you thought you were doing such a nice thing, right?
Yeah, that's... So I think that's definitely... I don't think it's something that a standard soul could do, but I think you could definitely make that like a big story point for a soul to do.
Same with giving too much to yourself over. Like, I love the idea of eventually there's more of you in there than more of you in there than there is on the mortal plane. Yeah. So that could start doing super weird stuff to you.
Absolutely.
Like that's when the Raven Queen turns up, right? And it's like, I think you're technically dead. Like, what's going on here? you're on my list, and there's an anomaly.
And that would be it. Like in that story arc, like in the gap between planes. So I'm not sure how we're going to do the planes thing for Anua.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure that out.
But like because in the traditional 5e, you go to, I believe it's, I think it's Sigil. I might be completely wrong because I know Sigil's like the neutral plane, the true neutral plane. But I know that there's one plane that you go to where it's like a courthouse, and they basically just judge your soul, and then they assign you where you go after you die based on what your soul was. So, and that's generally how the alignment system kind of like comes into play a bit more. Because you go to the plane that is aligned to what your soul was. So in this kind of storyline where you have this villain that has trapped all of these souls for so long, that courtroom, that area is overpacked, filled with people's souls waiting to be judged, but cannot actually get their judgment until the missing piece of their soul is returned to them.
Yeah, can't complete the report, right?
Oh man,
you need all the information.
The soul needs to be complete for it to be judged, because the judge does not want to miss anything.
I would love for that to be like, then the adventure party gets hired by that judge. Say, this is a problem.
Yeah. Oh, that's an awesome question. That's an awesome question. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to go sort this out. Yeah, that's so good.
So you could actually make like a team of investigators from like the Hells.
Yeah.
Like a team of tieflings or something.
That's cool. Yeah.
And then you have you have these creatures that come from they come from Mechanus.
Oh yeah,
the lawful plane, and their whole thing is literally just enforcing laws, and they're like crazy powerful. I think the most powerful one is like a challenge rating 25. And which in 5e, when you consider the maximum is 30, like there are very few things more powerful than that. Like these things are more powerful than most dragons, and they each enforce different aspects of law, and some literally like just the word of the law is their territory, but some are natural laws, some have authority over divine law of like the people that try and escape their judgment after they die, some that deal with broken contracts. There's all sorts of kind of different roles, but they all come from Mechanus, and so they all are kind of mechanical in nature in a few ways.
They'd be great to be like an adversarial kind of rival party. You could have like one member from each division, and they're all trying to figure out what's going on as well. You bump into these guys just like, yeah, we're trying to figure it out too, but they don't, you know, they're older, they're not going to work with you. Like the Team Rocket, they keep turning up and be like, no, we're solving the case. I like that.
Absolutely. I'm so trying to remember what those things are called, because I remember watching something recently about them, and they are just
I've seen the little ones. I think they're called Modrons. Or am I thinking of something else? What's a Modron?
Modrons are also from they are also from the plane of Mechanus. Yeah, but they're like the Modrons are like the workers.
Yeah.
The Marut are the ones that are the judges. Are like they're kind of like bounty hunters almost, actually.
Katie's asking, how do we destroy the stone?
How do you destroy the stone? Interesting. So I think the danger is destroying the stone whilst it still has a piece of soul inside it. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you destroy the stone with a piece of soul inside, you also risk destroying that piece of the soul. So you have to get the stone and keep blood off of it for 24 hours for the soul to be released. And I think at that point, destroying the stone should be quite simple. The main challenge is just keeping it safe for 24 hours, particularly if it's like one that's been taken from this vampire-esque character that's kind of collected them. Like if you wanted to destroy his collection, you would have to keep them out of his grasp and away from blood for 24 hours before you could destroy them.
I think it should be of a place where the creature wants to be released as well. A bit like how people like their ashes being spread somewhere. So you do have to go to it doesn't have to be exactly a specific place. Well, the creature might be able to tell you, right? But you've got to go, because then you've got a cool situation where it's like they want to go back to their family estate, and you've got to defend this estate for 24 hours from a surging vampire who's not happy that you've taken their favorite enemy.
Absolutely, and then you have like that just is the next stage of the story, is this huge battle that has to happen.
You've got to survive till the sun rises, right? Classic, like, are you afraid of dark stuff?
Keep them at bay until sunrise. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be a cool session.
This is the thing I love about this particular episode of the show, because creating the magic item is super quick. Like, we were done with that maybe in the first 20 minutes, but it's all the lore stuff that we get to do as well, and like ideas for using it in games. So this is super cool. But those who are watching, we still need a name. We still need a name.
Yeah, we're there now. Yeah.
So let's see what ideas like people have got for naming these things. Also, I just looked up the Maroots, the Maroot on Google Images, and I forgot how freaking insane they look. They're just like giant suits of armor with a single eyeball.
Seems fair, yeah. Oh yeah, you're not joking. Yeah,
like, yeah, that's legitimately what
it's like something out of the old Power Rangers series. That's crazy.
Absolutely, yeah. Actually, that's a really good.
I can see Rito throwing a spear down, saying, "Make my monster grow on this." It's straight out of it.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah,
these are super awesome creatures. Nice.
Oh yeah, that is killer.
That's absolutely amazing, Sarah. Yeah.
Imagine seeing one of them in a warforged walking towards you, but something bad's happened.
I want one of these for my night hag. She'd love it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
Hags would be all over this. Yeah.
I might actually throw that into the villains game for the purposes of that, because I'm kind of testing a few of the Homebrew Lab stuff out in the villains game to give us chances to homebrew it. So, but the spell we created with Matt Rogers is been given to our bard, and we're gonna play around and try a few different things. But yeah, this is such a cool item. I love the idea, and I think we probably have to create it at some point. Is a construct creature that has this as its like kind of power source in the center.
Yeah, that's immediately where my mind goes with it as well. Yeah,
that would be cool.
And it's this creature that has to enact. Like, it has to be aggressive and it has to enact violence because it needs to spill blood each day to sustain itself.
Oh, if it's like you could even do it with the player character being a barbarian construct.
Yes.
Yeah, got bloodlet. Keep going. Yeah, that's cool. I also like the idea of, like, the longer you keep that soul going, right? Like we said, it gets stronger, so it gets a sense of self. So eventually, you get to this weird, like, kind of AI point where it's like, do you destroy the construct who thinks it's now a living, walking soul? Like, is this okay?
Man, I want to play that character.
Like, it is, you get to that point and it is what's the lesser evil is...
Yeah.
Destroying this newly formed sentient being or denying a previous sentient being passage into the afterlife.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good story. I like that. That's good storytelling.
Oh my goodness, so much story potential for this item. I absolutely freaking love it. The chat's being very quiet in regards to names on this thing, which is fair enough. We shouldn't put all of the pressure on them, but I guess we can have a think as well as some way to kind of call this thing.
What did you say the name of the shape was?
Well, I just called it a diamond. I mean, rhombus is also...
Yeah. Rhombus, yeah. I like the idea of it being like...
The stone that I used as reference was called a Labradorite, if that's what you were...
Okay, that's cool as well. I like it being like... Because, like, it makes me think of Pathfinder, where loads of the items are like iron stone or whatever, and you're like, oh, it kind of sounds mediocre, and then you start reading about it, and you're like, oh, whoa. This is super messed up.
We get the iron stones and that, which I find it's so weird that iron stones are still in Pathfinder when Ioun is a D&D god. It's so weird that they still call them iron stones.
Like even like the rose prisms and stuff like that. Again, you're like, oh, it just sounds like a nice trinket you might have on your desk, and you start reading it, like, oh, super powerful actually. So I like the idea of this stone. It sounds relatively like a decorative item, and then if you know what these are, you're like, oh, okay, it's one of these.
Yes, absolutely. So it'd be like a
Lazulite encasing or something. You're like, oh, it sounds. What is this? A box? And then suddenly it's like, oh no, have you read what this does?
the stone of last rites. I feel like that's. I feel like that's like the druid name for it, the one that they used before it got corrupted. Like it was that was their kind of tribal name for it. And I think like the commercial name that this was probably sold by would have been something like something like a life cell or but maybe something that doesn't sound like a battery.
I feel like
Mama in your pocket.
I mean, that sounds pseudo positive as well, like the chamber of preservation or the shell of preservation. So it sounds like, oh yeah, this is good. Like, is it should I own one of these?
It was like a stone of soul preservation.
Yeah.
And it's
just about that line where you're like, oh, this sounds like a good healing item, and then you read it, you're like, ugh.
You're just like, oh no, this is.
Guys, do we want this? Who wants to carry this? It's like, this is strange.
There were so many times that happened in Pathfinder where we were just like, oh, that sounds like a really cool item. No. Maybe not.
Like, your campaign gets it and they cast Identify on it, and you get to tell them everything about, I can immediately imagine everyone be like, ooh.
It was like, what was it, the angel skin armor or something like that, the angel hide armor. And the first time we heard that, it was just like, that sounds super cool. Angel hide armor, and there's like, oh, it's literally made from skinning angels? Okay. Maybe not.
Beautiful resplendent armor. Yeah, it's like angel armor. And you're like, oh, lush. I'm going to have cool wings hanging. And you're like, oh no, it is an angel. And you're like, oh, put it back. Put it away.
Literally just the skin of an angel.
No one should own that.
Well,
I love it.
If you have it named after the artificer in some fashion. I mean, I always end up defaulting to naming after the person that originally created it. But if they had a very simple name, almost like so-and-so's crystal or so-and-so's stone.
Yeah, they do like mouse, acid arrow and that stuff. Yeah, that's quite cool.
It is a good one. It is a good one, but I feel like this one, because of the story of him producing them commercially, it should have like a commercially appealing title as well. Oh, where'd the stone go? There we go.
The the eye of something, pocket.
Yeah, somebody who's seeing, right? Watching, mirror, window.
A heart's echo.
Oh, that's quite sweet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's quite sweet.
Because it is.
Again, sounds like gentle and romantic, and also could be like, ooh, pretty brutal.
Yeah, I like that. So the Druids called it the Stone of Last Rites, but the commercial name that was given to it was the Heart's Echo Stone. Or the Heart's Echo.
Yeah, because you can hear the echo of your loved ones.
It sells itself. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that is that's it. Because it sounds so harmless as well. Just an echo. It's not a sliver of their soul or anything. It's just an echo. Yeah, it's nice. Look, they're dancing. It's lovely.
It's not even them. And then you find out that you're lost in purgatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. You find out you've been absolutely tormenting and torturing your loved ones because they've been unable unable to pass on.
Just what they come with.
Yeah. So what? He's like, is it called a Heart's Echo? But why is there a skull? It's like, well, it's to do with life and death, and the skull is a symbol of death. So I guess it's just how it appears. I don't think about it too much.
It'll be gone in a minute.
Yeah. Just shake it. Just shake it. Clean it right up.
Yeah, just.
If you shake it, look on the other side. It'll tell you your fortune.
Yeah, it does loads of stuff. It slices, it dices.
Amazing.
Yeah, this is a cool item. There's so much story immediately. You could throw this into a game and build multiple whole arcs over this. It's good.
Heck yeah. All right, I think this is great. I think we've done it. This is absolutely fantastic. So for those who are watching, thanks for joining us on this crazy adventure into creating one of these days we will create something on this show which has a wholesome vibe to it that's actually genuine.
Will we?
It's got to happen at some point, right? Not nearly every single episode that we've done of this show so far has been morbid and horrifying. But eventually we will do something that is wholesome. But you know what? I freaking love it. This thing is awesome. Have so much fun doing this show. For those who are watching, make sure to tune in again on Sunday for our Behind the GM screen series, where I'm prepping for a brand new campaign in Shadowrun. Live on Twitch, and then we will be back again in 2 weeks' time with another GM's chat on Monday, and our next Homebrew Labs will be creating a new settlement once again. But thank you all for joining us today, and until our next adventure, farewell.